mask, a concept which really refers to a god or a demon. In Luciferianism, a deific mask is a representation of a type of energy that's either manifested as a symbolic archetype, a spiritual force, a god, and the gods or demons of the ancient Near East, much like the ones throughout the later times, throughout the Roman Empire and so forth, always represent, if they're gods, a role in nature in one way or another, a reoccurring consistency within nature, or a destructive force in nature which can be consistent or is known. Often the gods of old, like Baal Hadad, also named Adu, a storm god, a conquering god and an establisher of order, also having major underworld significance as the god of, in some aspects, of the royal dead or the heroes of old, ones who have, in their own society, utilized the warrior culture of achieving self-determined future, so forth. All of the Luciferian philosophical and ideological points in modern times were revered in pre-biblical times upon the death of the individual called a hero. They were offered to with incense, food, libations as a respect for the family, but also the future of the people in reoccurrence. And the world between the living and the dead was a very thin line. Much of the Judeo burial practices and religion, such as the term honor thy father and mother, are derived from early Canite and Ugaritic burial and practices invoking the Rephaim or the Miliku, which were the deified dead. Demons within this grimoire in the first part, Dragon and Two Flames, represent aspects of occurrence in a rebel sense, and also kind of a divinely ordained sense of really left-hand path initiation, delving into the darkness. The god Reshef, who is a warrior god who represents the underworld, warfare, plague, and pestilence, was a highly revered god on the parallel lines of the Babylonian Nergal from 2300 BCE, before Common Era, all the way to New Testament times after Christianity got a foothold. Reshef at that point had become a demon, kind of a no longer having a natural association, but an association with some, as a type of demonic messenger of Yahweh, who assimilated the Canite pantheon and took the identity of El and really made it all about the Judeo-Christian philosophical practices. And that's why I have such a problem with why people would even want to associate themselves with Christianity. And I can understand why Jewish people are proud of their religion. That's for them, it's so tribal. It has like a lot of roots that are deeper than all these different modern cultures, especially Christianity, because it's so twisted and corrupt. So with the Deific Mask, there are three kind of types of interaction that Baal manifests into to the world, and that's cosmic. Then you have nature, and then you have the human, and all of those are on different levels. And we perceive the Deific Mask in an anthropomorphic or having some human attributes, but they're also, in the ancient times, their temples were the dwelling place of the god, of the spirit of the god, but they also had their spiritual abodes, or astral abodes, which were gigantic temples, and they were giants. And that's how the ancient temple cults viewed many of their deific masks. So when you think of Yam or Yam Nahar, Judge Ruler Nahar, Yam is Leviathan. He becomes that dragon serpent in sending forth the storms of the sea to overtake the land, in which Baal, during the cycle of spring and summer and fall, fights with Yam, and Yam becomes king for a while, and then Baal takes over. It's that cycle that continues, but when you look at it from an initiation standpoint, these demonic powers are inspirations for our own initiation, our own lives and future. I'm not trying to invent a neo-Canite Ugaritic culture. It's all about the deific mask, the pantheons being used in accordance. And there's a special thing that I tie that in the grimoire through a succession of time, and different city-states, different kingdoms in that region throughout a period of 2,000 years. That's showing how a god like Chemosh, the Moabite Chemosh, who has a major role because I've worked with this deific mask intensely. And there are many different aspects to this deific mask, this enemy of Yahweh, in that he begins around in associations with Nergal, and in the city of Elba, which he was kind of an underworld deity, but also a very important one. Then to Ugarit, and then all the way through Syria. A city, Carchemish, was named after him, and then finally the Moabites revered him. He is another form of Atar, or Ashtar, the rebel, which is the eventual Lucifer of the Isaiah text. We have several different types of ritual in this grimoire, and the artwork kind of supports the different types of and different versions and manifestations of the gods and demons in the first part of the grimoire. And these, we took a special practice and effort to make sure that they were embodying the cultural pantheon and the times and the type of style that they would have, so we can better, when you look at Baalzebub, we want to see also the fly god, the demonic type of fly god, the initiator of magic. But also we want to see a divining god sitting in the lofty throne, representing the astral and the spirit. So that's connection with the daemon is very important. Chemosh of fire and light, Chemosh the dark, dust and darkness, all have different manifestations of energy, but all equally important, with the deific dialogue of the myth rituals, which are recited, where you're envisioning putting on the mask of each god as you recite it. You have the oracle and divination, which I'm going to go into, which is very important with communication and initiation with your daemon. Compelling will change, that's Luciferian magic. And then demonic magic, which is awakening your daemon, envisioning your daemon, and using it to shape the powers of the deific mass, the old gods, into a new type of flesh and power. Dragon of the Two Flames has a very interesting approach to the foundations of Luciferian magic by the original pantheon and the temple cults, and how they approached the old deific masks or gods. We're very, in developing this grimoire, I really tried to stick to the etymology, the name origins, the utilization of the deific mask. What did the deity represent? How does it have an interplay with us today? And how is it a mask of essentially the adversary or Lucifer? The adversary and the adversarial current. From early on in my ritual workings in the late 1990s forward, I had this instinctual drive that I knew certain truths, okay, certain, I can't say objective truths, but I had these subjective truths that were very impactful to me, in that the adversarial current is not destructive. It is creative and destructive. It will destroy something to then build something great and new upon the ashes of it. And it's balance. And that's very much the world that we live in today. If you look at the so-called Christian world, there's so much what I would call injustice and slaughter in the name of ignorance, and people not pursuing science because of some idiotic ideology that has no bearing. The adversary manifests, the one they call Satan, Lucifer, whatever, is a combination of all the ancient deific masks that are prior to Yahweh or Christianity. So, like for instance, the altar, the Bamot of Chemosh, that god has many different deific masks, or different aspects of energy, releases of energy. For instance, Chemosh is a solar sun related to Nergal, summer heat, war, conquering underworld god. Chemosh, that's another name for him in Mesopotamia. But in the area of the Levant and Moab and all the way up to Elba, ancient Elba, Chemosh was a solar conquering order god, similar to a Baal, but he's also Atar or Ashtar, the rebel, Ashtar the strong, which is Venus, the masculine Venus, the morning and evening star. And Ashtar is very significant in that he is a warring, conquering god, bloodthirsty. The Moabite stone is published in Dragon and the Two Flames as a kind of background to leading up to working with and understanding Chemosh. And he demands a harem, or a sacrifice of his victims, which were enemies, their families, all of them slaughtered and fed to him, their blood and spirit, by the Moabite warriors, who liberated themselves from the warring Judeo-Christian, or Jewish tribes, should I say, not Christian. Chemosh also, having the fire and light aspect, also has a underworld aspect relating to Chemosh, the dust and darkness, and this demonic or vampiric aspect, chthonic aspect, is explored as well. And then you have the female Astarte, Astaroth, Anat, all of who are assimilated, become a manifestation of the Luciferic spirit as well. So the rituals that we do in the altars all have meaning to the Luciferian current of balance and self-liberation, but a continual search for wisdom, power, and really building and empowering your daemon to the next level.